Anyway, welcome to Jurassic Room, guys. And we're going to real quick do this review for Alien Covenant because there was not really much to say. Frankly, I think I need to watch the movie a few more times. I need to watch Prometheus again. But I basically got the gist of the movie. And, hold on a second. So, frankly, we'll first start off with the story. Now, oh wait, no. Non-spoiler review first, sorry. So basically, the movie, it's a good Alien movie, I would think. It's better than Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, but frankly, for me, it fell kind of flat. It's just, I will say this. This is my biggest problem. It was too predictable. I mean, if you watch the Alien movies and you're a hardcore fan like me, or in a horror creature genre, you're going to predict just about everything that happens in the movie. And frankly, in this movie, there's a lot of just dumb decisions made by the characters. Just really, really, really stupid. It makes me wonder, like, man, Ridley Scott, what were you thinking? Great Scott! Hold on a second. I will say this, though. Even though the story was kind of bland, I would say this. It is like a mix between Prometheus and Alien. Almost the perfect combination. And it's what Prometheus should have been, basically. There's a lot more Xenos, or, you know, aliens. And the effects for the aliens are actually pretty good. I actually really enjoyed them. I thought that the aliens are probably my favorite part of the movie. Besides the androids, actually. The overall design for like the neomorphs and the protomorphs was pretty good. I liked how they moved. I thought they were perfectly creepy, horrifying, and cool at the same time. So that was pretty good. Oh my gosh, look at that! Oh, he's out. Darn it! Wish I had my camera rolling. On my my flash, you can see Will over there. He's usually not out, so. To any of my, you know, fellow animal vids, he's out. That for a minute, I was trying to get that on video of Will, so. Anyway, continuing on with the non-spoiler review. Other than the aliens, the effects are pretty good. I like the overall design of the technology on the ship of the Covenant. Let's see. I will say this about the characters. You only really care about Tennessee and Daniels. Frankly, you only care about them. All the other characters are just kind of bland. And, you know, the arcs don't really go anywhere. You do care about some of the people that die, but that's just about it. And then Walter. Walter you kind of care about because he's pretty cool character-wise. And David really progresses as a character. So, that was interesting to see that. This is kind of a gore fest in a way. There's some very gory moments in this movie, but it's not actually that much. And frankly, it wasn't that incredibly scary either. It did not get me at all. It kind of grossed me out at some points. But mainly, I was actually kind of making a joke, more or less, of the gore to my family who were kind of being on their business. Also, they were kind of actually preoccupied because apparently, right on the couch as I was watching the movie, our pit bull gave birth to her puppy. And that's what they were doing the whole time while I was watching this movie. Other than me, my mouth pulsating pain from the dentist I went to yesterday for these new pearly whites. Anyway, that's basically all I can think of for the non-spoiler review. And I'll end it on this note. Go check it out for yourself. You'll probably enjoy it. A lot of Alien fans enjoy it very much. Mr. H, I think, enjoyed it. Matthew Brando, he enjoyed it. And he's kind of a tough guy to please. He didn't like Kong Skull Island, which, frankly, I'm surprised at, because I love Kong Skull Island. But, who else? Hybrid Network, I think, enjoyed it a lot. Comic Book Cast 2, I think, enjoyed it a lot, too. So, you know, it's enjoyable to a good amount of people, even though it bombed at the box office, apparently. And I'll get on with the future, the Alien franchise, in the spoiler review. Sorry, I'm so sensitive right now with my teeth. But I'll end on this note. I give it Rating time, 7 out of 10. Just the story was basically reused. It barely offered us anything new to the story. And frankly, it was just a redo of Alien. I mean, just par for par. You know, there's some thrilling sequences in it, but the rest is really just nothing. It's enjoyable, but it's nothing incredibly new, if you get what I mean. But for the most part, I did walk away, or, you know, turn off my phone feeling pretty happy with what it was. I think it could have been a lot better, though. I think Ridley Scott could have done, hopefully he could have done a lot better, and I hope that Alien Awakening will pick up and just leave on a note what these first two movies just have not done. But anyway,
before I eat you with my little mouth, let's get on to the spoiler review.
Yes, Gorilla. But anyway, spoiler review. Characters first. Basically, you only ever care about Tennessee and Daniels, and this is also going to coincide with the story. So Tennessee, I think, is probably the character I enjoyed most. He's just kind of the fun redneck. You know, we're gonna drink and we're gonna have, you know, we're gonna enjoy this time we got together. And his wife, which we give barely any craps about later. And then Daniels. And Daniel, you know, is made to be like the center of the story, but you don't really care much for her character. Frankly, I didn't. Frankly, I thought she was annoying at times. And she drops the most F-bombs in this movie for this instances that just don't seem like they need it. She just seems like the person that just likes to cuss during every sentence for no reason and doesn't really match in the movie, frankly. Oh, holy crap, that was disgusting. Yuck. I was just taking a breather in and like, ugh. Anyway. And she is kind of forced to be this new Shaw, Ellen Ripley, for this movie. We're going to take charge and we're going to kill this thing. And how they kill the alien is just so cliche. But frankly, the only other I don't really remember a lot of their names. I have to look it up again. I think it's Labruski or something like that. But he's the first guy to die from the Neomorph. And that was a pretty gory sequence. But frankly, all the other characters in the movie were just kind of bland. They didn't really go anywhere. They all die. You don't really care about them. You know, except for sometimes in the ways they die, it seems really horrible. But character-wise, they're kind of dead anyway. Which leads on to David and Walter, really. Walter, I'll get on first. He was actually probably my favorite character, I would think. I don't know. It's kind of a mix between Tennessee, because Tennessee was his own character. He wasn't like a ripoff of previous characters. He was his own, and he gave his own kind of sense of being there. Walter was appealing, though. You know, he's just there to help the mission. He's like one of the top models of androids in the day. He runs the Covenant, helps Mother maintain the ship. And he is always there, like, to say, you know, this is reality. This is what happens. It's not your, like, little, you know, they're going on about how the solar flare happened and how, I forget the name of the captain, he takes over after Daniel's husband dies, which, it's in the beginning of the movie. After the solar flare happens, their pods go haywire, and, you know, Dave Franco, yeah, I feel like I'm forgetting his first name. Darn it. James Franco, was it? I think so. But anyway, his pod basically catches on fire and he burns right in front of them. And it's really horrible. And you kind of do feel for Daniels for a little bit. But this new captain takes over. And I hear them coming. Hold on. Okay. He takes over and he's like, I don't believe in luck. I don't believe in bad luck. This happened for a reason, and Walter's like, you don't know until it happens, and that's frankly, I mean, it goes nowhere. Like, yeah, it was just a freak accident, and you are just freaking out that it's no accident for no reason because it goes nowhere. Yes, it was just a freak accident, bad luck. Solar flare happened, took down your shields, and killed your captain. While also, apparently during the drive, killed like 47 of the colonists and some of the human embryos, you know, because it's a colony mission. I keep hearing them thump around in there. But that was one of the things. And Walter, you know, going through the movie, he's basically, I gotta really throw David in here a little bit. You know, it's just close to the other characters, taking care of them the whole way. And you don't really see anything progressive with him as a helpful android until you get to the part where they meet David. And, you know, there is a cool sequence where the Neomorph attacks again, and it's fully grown this time, and he protects Daniels and has his hand cut off by the tail of the Neomorph, protecting her. That was pretty cool. Not really much else. I'll explain David, and then I'll get to, like, them together. David, as a character, you know, he comes in, he saves them, takes them back to where he's staying at. He even calls himself like a homegrown zoologist. He's studying the species, but most of all he's studying how the accelerant works, the black goo, and the hybrids that it creates. It creates these, you know, it's basically these microscopic organisms that are parasitic. They get into a host and they create a hybrid creature, and that's what he's most interested in. And, you know, you don't really get, you know, he says that these are his creations, but you don't really know how he created the, you know, the eggs and the you know, which encase the facehuggers. That is really stupid how this happens. But basically he treats everyone to stay there and to keep safe until the storm passes by. It's basically a hurricane level storm. And in a minute I'll get on about how why the reason they got there. But frankly, first we'll handle David and Walter. Basically, you have a lot of scenes of David and Walter going, you know, talking. You know, Walter, you know, he knows he's programmed to protect and to serve humans, while David, he feels he has feelings. He feels that he had love for Elizabeth Shaw, and he believes, you know, he's his own being. He can control, you know, the life, and he, you know, should go his own way. And tries to teach Walter that he can do the same. While Walter, basically, you kind of find out, doesn't want to do that. While even David tries to tell him that you feel love for her. And that's that. And he tries to get him to feel that way. And it kind of goes off for a little while. He teaches him how to play the flute, and that's about it. And that kind of leads on to the captain coming in. You know, the guy, captain, first. Okay, we'll leave that alone for now, and we'll handle that at the deaths part and explain it through that. But first, let's get on with the story really quick again. Off of Walter and David for a minute and get back to story. Basically, after, you know, they resume as captain, they discover a rogue signal singing Country Home, or Country Road, Take Me Home. Country Road, take me home to the place where I belong. But basically, instead of going back to hypersleep for another 7 years, they decide to land on this planet to basically discover what happens. Daniels is opposed to it for really no reason, but basically, they land on the planet and they discover that wheat is grown there, and they're wondering what's growing this wheat, and it continues for a little while. They kind of split up, and that's when, you know, they are looking at the environment. And that's when the one guy, let me charge my thing real quick. it becomes infected through the ear, which later becomes the backburster, and another guy, oh darn it, he becomes infected through his nose, which that later becomes a throat burster, which is pretty gruesome. Let's see. It goes on from there, and not much else happens. They're just wandering around. They discover a ship, the engineer ship, and there's suits from the engineers on there. They're wondering, are these giants or just statues of giants? And it leads on to them having to run back to the bay because the first guy, I believe his name is Librowski, becomes horribly sick, and the companion, the girl, I forget her name though, takes him back to the ship where the Tennessee's wife, which is really the reason why we don't care about her, locks her in there with him for really no reason, refuses to let her out or anything, and just goes off on a frantic rampage, trying to get a hold of Tennessee and all that, just freaking out, not giving any information, before leaving, not telling them anything, back to the medical bay where the backburster had come out of his back, and it was really gross because it comes out like a womb, just and his body just flops over, it comes out, and it's just a little baby. It's clicking almost like a predator, making different sounds, and it just goes after her, and she kicks it off first time, and it kind of shakes it off. And then it goes after her again, and it's just slashing her face and her throat. It's just really a bloody mess. You hear her screaming in fear before she comes in with a gun and tries to shoot it. It gets away, and it basically, she shuts the door and gets away. And before it uses its head to break the glass and escapes, and she basically goes on a firing rampage trying to kill the neomorph while it's escaping around her. Before finally she shoots something and the ship explodes. And the others see this explosion, and she walks out for a few seconds before someone apparently does, before dropping dead, and we can assume that's probably her. Before they have to turn their attention around to see the other guy, I forget his name, but basically the throat burster comes out, and it's another neomorph. And it comes out and it attacks everyone, and then it doesn't attack anyone, it just runs off, and they're wondering what is going on. And it kind of takes place, and the next scene goes after like a few hours later apparently, and it's dark. The neomorph attacks again, now almost the size of, I would say about 4 feet tall, and it kills, I think, 3 guys. And, the part with Walter protecting Daniels, and finally David comes and scares it away, and they follow David, and you actually do get something that I like to see is just the alien running around, the neomorph running around, nothing happening, just seeing what it looks like on its own, which is pretty cool, and it makes its way back to the civilization, and nothing much really happens here except them collecting their bearings. This one girl goes off, I think it was to get water or to relieve herself or something like that, and the neomorph basically comes in and bites her, and it's pretty gruesome. I mean, you just see it decapitate her, basically. You see the really weird jaw come out, and basically that's that. The captain rolls around and starts looking for her, and he sees David looking at the neomorph. The neomorph is kind of interested, looking at David, and they kind of seem to be bonding for a moment. It's standing upright, very human-like actually, looking at David, and David is looking at it, with intrigue. Before the captain, I just call him the captain because I can't remember his name, he basically shoots the neomorph to death, and David is obviously distraught over this, and you know that David's going to do something. And he shows the captain his work, while I was telling him earlier, he's basically a geneticist now, wannabe zoologist who's studying all these different things, and the hybrids that the morphs are. And he takes him down to the basement, which is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen, and he basically just trusts David and looks at the egg. Touch it, It won't hurt you. And all of a sudden, he touches the egg, really, and just stares at the face hugger rolling around in it before having a thing wrapped around his face. You know, and a few minutes later, he wakes up. David's right there. And of course, you know, that goes on for a few words before the protomorph bursts out of his chest. And unlike the xenomorph, you know, which is like a little snake when it begins, this thing has all its legs and everything. This is kind of a weird scene where you almost expect the protomorph to say,
I am Groot.
because it actually seems to be mimicking David to a point. David holds his arms up, and it's with some dialogue I can't remember, and then the protomorph just raises its hands up. This is really weird, like, baby kind of I'm trying to say behavior, and you see this long little tail moving around. Basically, it goes on from there. They discover the body. They discover that Elizabeth Shaw did not die in the crash, and that something happened with David. Either he dissected her after she died, or he killed her, or something. We don't really get any answers to that. We just know that something, either he killed her or something like that, or maybe he created a morph out of her. And I'll be doing a future video on what the possibilities of the morphs could be. Actually, that'll be in this video. But basically, after that, not much else happens. Basically, David tries to kill Daniels, and Walter steps in, saying that they just brawl it out. Basically, hold on, an interruption. But basically, Daniels discovers Shaw's body, and then she confronts David, and David also confronts Walter about it earlier. But you know, all that. But basically, Daniels gets away when Walter intervenes and starts fighting David, and David is basically coming and he'll win the battle, and Walter is basically like, there's been a lot of improvements since your day, and that's basically how it goes. There's a huge fight. It's pretty good, interesting to watch fight. That leads on to the crew escaping after one guy, when they look down in the lab of David's, two guys, one guy dies when the protomorph attacks, the other guy is impregnated, which you later find out, basically, after we call the guy with the melted face, because they clawed off the face hugger, but it had already done its work by the time they got to it. Kind of like a chihuahua that we recently had. But, still have, never mind. But, basically, him and Daniel's the only survivors, and they get out, and they're barely able to get back to the ship, where Tennessee has just landed to get them, and one droid escapes, or, you know, leaves, and it's basically deemed that it's Walter. Same scar, same everything. This is one of the problems I have in the movie about predictability that I was saying. And I already called that it was David. And this is a spoiler review, so it was David. I predicted it. And I mean, he acted like Walter almost the whole time. There's very few, very small moments where I could tell this is obviously David. Later, when he's distraught when the protomorph dies, and when he's almost happy when he's watching the protomorph, basically. Just the fascination he has is a dead giveaway. But basically, David, who is Walter, escapes onto the ship with them, and they're all fighting the protomorph, which, frankly, the protomorph, which I'll get to in a second, is a really cool design, and it gets onto the ship, and of course, they duel it out. They're fighting it. She's shooting it on a tether around, while it's around. You know, the whole hammering the glass sequence is on there, and it was kind of funny watching Tennessee with this whole thing deal with, like, this thing's right in front of me. And that leads on to when they finally kill it. They basically blast it. or they have it in a crane, and it basically drops, and it's dead. And it's trying to attack her while it's still in the crane. Claws. That was kind of an interesting fight right there. Before they finally get back to the ship, the Covenant. And basically, they're kind of licking their wounds. They're kind of mourning their dead. They're healing. And there's only 4 survivors at this point. The one girl, I forget her name. The black guy, I forget his name. Tennessee and Daniels. And, of course, Walter, which is David. And basically, they go to bed before discovering that there's an unknown... And the guy who had his face melted off, that was one. They're healing him as well. That he would need reconstructive surgery. Basically, she's woken up to be told that there's an unidentified life form on the ship, and she instantly gets up, and she and Tennessee engage it while Walter is on the monitor keeping an eye out for it. They discover the guy who had his face melted off, had the alien gestating inside him, and it had burst out and is now loose. And it's already to full size. And it's kind of interesting watching the Protomorph run around, the whole place. And there's nothing really cool. All the cool sequences you see, it's just running around the ship. That's it. It's not fighting or anything. Basically, that all leads up to they're trying to warn the other two, the black guy and the girl, what's their names, and they're currently having affairs in the shower, and that's where that all happens. Basically, they're too late, and the Protomorph kills them while they're in the shower. And that's the point where I'm saying Walter has like the fascination point where he's watching the Protomorph. That was what I meant. Or David at this point. It's David. And basically, it leads on to they're able to... I'm surprised that David cooperated like he did. You would think that he would be more inclined to try and let the Protomorph win the fight by giving the Protomorph the advantage. But maybe it's because he didn't know how to work the ship or whatnot and he needed him alive. But... basically, the whole scene is them fighting through the hangar, and they're hitting it with cars and different stuff, trying to knock it out. Basically, they open the hatch, and here's how it happens: a giant bulldozer hits, or it's sliding out. She's able to push the Protomorph outside, and it leaps off of the car and grabs on to the landing. She starts shooting it. Before finally the bulldozer basically impales it as it jumps for her, and it goes out into space. Just like Alien and Aliens. In typical alien fashion. Send it into space. And then basically they are joyous with their wounds, and then get ready to go into hypersleep for another 7 years. And it's at this point that in the beginning of the movie, Daniels was going to build a cabin with her husband. That was the whole dream, and that Walter wanted to help her. And she asks Walter if he will help her build the cabin. And basically, he just smiles at her, and she gets hysterical, knowing that it's not Walter, that it's David. And basically, David sends her into hypersleep. And that's basically the end of the movie. He goes over to the embryos, and he basically throws up 2 like embryo capsules with 2 face huggers and puts them in with the embryos. And he basically just walks off, and that's the end of the movie. That's it. Basically, everyone else dies. You either get slashed, you get impregnated, or something like that. That's basically all the deaths. I'd have to say the best death in the movie was probably... frankly, I really liked how the Neomorph attacked her and decapitated her, because that was just one of the more animalistic killing sequences that I kind of enjoyed. And the other would have to be with the Protomorph, probably, trying to think, darn it. Backburster scene is probably the best death, I would say, in the movie. After that, the aliens and the effects. The Neomorph, I also want to say that the prologue journey that had David and Shaw was not in the movie that I reacted to, and neither was The Last Supper, surprisingly. That had James Franco in it. That was not in the movie. But which surprised me for some reason why they would do that. But maybe it's just deleted scenes that will be in the DVD, probably. But basically, with the aliens, the neomorph was interesting. It basically resembled a lot of the concept art for Prometheus, but it was just white, and it had that long, slender, spiny tail, and it was really cool design, just really creepy with the no eyes, just white. It was just creepy and that was actually one of my favorite points in the movie was the neomorph, just how creepy they were, and how durable, and how efficient they were at killing. I'll just say that. The protomorph was interesting though, because it's not a true xenomorph basically. Frankly, the body reminded me a lot of the aliens from Alien Resurrection, I would say. I actually kind of call it the mummy alien because it has just like a dried skin kind of tone. At most points where it's dark, it looks sleek and shiny like the original Alien, but when it's in light, it looks just kind of like dry skin and all that, for the most part. And it's in kind of a blackish color though when it's dark, but when you get out into the sunlight and all that, it is more of a brown color, more like the dog alien. And the way it runs around is actually more like the dog alien. The long legs. It actually runs on all fours a lot of times during the movie, was really fun to watch. That was basically about it. The effects for the aliens was really good, and I think that was just my favorite point, was just the aliens. That's all I really enjoyed. The characters and the story just really didn't do a whole lot for me. Which kind of leads me on to what's going to happen in the Alien Covenant. I don't really know. I will have probably a video out to what could happen with... That'll be its own video describing what the protomorph could... If the protomorph could return, how that could lead on to the xenomorphs, and what is really next in the Alien franchise. But frankly, that's it. Frankly, the 7 out of 10 I give it rating fits it pretty well, I think. It's enjoyable for any Alien fan, but it's kind of just a lot of cliches, and it's very predictable to me. But nonetheless, it was still pretty enjoyable, and I really can't wait to get it on DVD so I can let my sisters watch it, because we're all going to watch all the movies originally, the whole saga again, basically, and then add Prometheus and AVP and all that, so my mom and all of them can see them because they want to. Actually, I watched Aliens earlier. There was all 4 movies on, but my mom was about to go to work by the time she couldn't see them. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos, because I'm about to run out of video time. Let's check out my other videos I'm working on. I will hopefully have more out tonight. But thanks for watching. Let's hit that 400 subscriber mark. Hope y'all enjoyed Alien Covenant, though. Go check it out. It was really fun to watch, but kind of predictable, all that. It's basically boring at times, but it's still a good movie. Now let's hit that 400 subscriber mark, ladies.